right, and welcome back to A Dash of Reading. I'm your host, Dash. I'll be bringing my co host, Amber, on for tonight's episode. But want to thank everybody for coming out on a Tuesday night, watching and enjoying the show. Uh, Thank you, everybody who participates. I'm going to bring on Amber, and we're going to get started. Maybe. There we go. All right, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for our monthly Dash of Reading. I'm your host, Dash. This is my co-host, Amber, and tonight, we will be talking about Anthem by Noah Hawley. First off, should I apologize right now, right off the bat, for just even being born? Should I just get that out of the way for just because of who I am? I should probably just apologize for this if I follow his standards, Mr. Noah Hawley, I should apologize for being born. I'm not hearing you. We must have a bad connection. Is that better?
Yeah, it's really bad. I opened the door. Is it better? Are we synced
Yeah, I
up
think
now?
we're synced up now.
Okay, so just so you know, I had to open my office door. So there will be animals, probably a teenager coming through here. So
No worries. But
okay.
should I apologize for just, should I go to my parents and tell them what were they thinking for having me?
Yes, it's all Gen X's and baby boomers' fault.
Listen, I'm going to preface this show with I'm going to do everything I possibly can not to be banned from Facebook and or YouTube once this is posted due to the review of this book. Ladies and gentlemen, I get it. Everybody needs to have a boogeyman in their life. Everybody needs to have some kind of boogeyman in their life. And I'm going to preface this book by saying this man's boogeyman started way before Donald Trump. He needs to realize that. With that being said, this book is a dystopian type of future for the United States, if you will. A lot of allegory and satire. However, I will say that the hyperbole, if you were to look up in the dictionary, overuse of hyperbole, this gentleman's book and face would be in the definition.
Yeah, when you said dystopian, I was like, okay. I mean, I like the Hunger Games. It's not my favorite genre, but I'm always willing to, branch out in what I read. But when he wrote a dystopian book set in modern day, I should have known right then it was going to be terrible. It was going to be terrible. When I read, I try very hard to not listen at the author's voice. Like whatever the author does in his personal life, I try not to bring that into my book. But on page 217, he totally stops the narrative and tells you, now I know that this book I created this far is ridiculous, but let me tell you about how ridiculous the world I live in is. And that's when I texted you and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even with this book anymore. He's not a bad writer. His writing itself does not suck, which is why he got 2 stars and not 1 from me. I just think he took everything terrible in the world, which everything is terrible. What he talked about, war, the opioid crisis, sex trafficking, climate change. These things are crazy things that are happening in this world. But there's no hope. There's no solution. And maybe he genuinely feels that desperate about the world. But I feel like he should have written an essay or a nonfiction book. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not enjoyable
I mean,
at all.
again, setting a dystopian future 4 years after Donald Trump's election kind of tells you what the narrative of this book is going to be. Listen, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for Hillary. There's a reason I have voted independent for the last 4 elections. But that being said, I get that you need to have a boogeyman in your life. I understand that. People need to have something to fight for and fight against, and they need the all big bad boogeyman to come in, and he wants to avenge the boogeyman. What I see in this book is, though, like you said, yes, I mean, his writing style is great. Don't get me wrong. I really wanted to like this book because he created Fargo, the TV show Fargo. I love Fargo. Love it to death. And I really wanted to like this book. But when you take, and your entire basis of this book is everything that the Republicans did from 2016 on, but then you try to tell me in the middle of a book that you're not on either side is completely ridiculous. And then try to pawn it off on your daughter at the end of the book. You pawn it off as this was your daughter's idea of trying to figure out why you were trying to come up with this book.
And so I feel like he's blaming his 11-year-old, 12-year-old, her anxiety on the state of the world. Now, listen, I am not a professional. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a school counselor. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a mom who's raised 4 kids. Okay. My oldest is 28. My youngest will be 18 in May. I'm telling you, they may think that war is bad and that climate change is terrible, but they're not desperate enough to kill themselves. And teen suicide, the rate has gotten higher the past couple of years. I blame it on the lockdowns. I don't blame it on them being so stressed out over the state of the world. I just think he, like you said, the exaggeration, and it's like, how terrible. If he would have offered hope at the end, and okay, he put his personal opinion in this book, I'm going to put mine. My hope is in Jesus Christ. My hope is not in President Biden. My hope is not in whatever climate change accord or Paris trip, whatever. My hope is not in that. Should we take better care of planet Earth, and should we not go to war? Yes, I'm not saying any of that. But there's nothing so desperate going on that I'm going to kill myself over it. So teen suicide is already a problem. So, oh yes, let's make this new pandemic suicide in our young people. Holy crap. What's that say if a 17-year-old picks up this book and he offers no solution, he offers no hope, it's despair, and the world is ending, and it's all heaped on you teenagers. You must fix it. You must change the world. Oh my, as a mother, I was very disturbed. Don't read this if you are under the age of 25.
Absolutely. I just, to break it down, Noah Hawley gives us, in this dystopian future, instead of he talks about the pandemic that we just went through, but now the new one is teenage suicide, and that this, and he's, I guess it's a metaphor. The teenage suicide is a metaphor for what is going on with this pandemic, and almost like if you were to watch the movie Don't Look Up, this gentleman is using teenage suicide for us to just pretend like it's not even happening. Listen, I don't care who you are and what you believe during this pandemic, whether you believed it was fake or not. There is no way in the world that any parent will think that their child committing suicide is fake. There is no way, and again, you nailed it right on the head. I do not recommend this book for anyone under the age of 25. To say that we think that teenage suicide is fake, I can get on any social media and every day see something about report suicide. Here is a hotline. Here is this and this and this. We take as Americans, as whatever, we take suicide very seriously. There is no way in this world we would turn a blind eye to suicide. So to compare suicide to COVID-19 is hype. I mean, and again, over exaggerating hyperbole.
Yeah, and just I keep going back to no hope. Like, and I reread the last little part over and over again, and I just, if I'm missing something and somebody listening says, "Oh, Amber, you totally missed it," then tell me about it, because I feel like if you're gonna bitch about the problems, then offer a solution.
Agreed. That's not even my biggest problem with this. The lack of creativity in characters.
Mm. Well, they're stolen from
Stephen
Stephen
King,
King, right? I mean, I watched The Stand. I didn't read it, but I mean, he's got like a Katniss character. He's got a Randall Flagg. I mean, this is like The Stand, terrible. The terrible version of The Stand.
Yeah, I mean, there's not, the lack of creativity in this book is by far the worst, and that's why I give it a 1 star. There's no creativity. Again, I wanted to like this book. Again, I love Fargo, and I highly suggest to watch Fargo. If you have never seen it, go. Fargo is a wonderful, wonderful TV show. But this book, I think he thought he was going to be Kurt Vonnegut or
oh my God, yeah.
Give me a second here. And Orwell. I felt like maybe he thought he was writing the next Slaughterhouse-5 or 1984. The difference between those dystopian futures is they weren't using real people to real call
scenarios.
The former president the God King. That tells me a lot about what he thinks and where his mindset lies. He put his, when I read a book, especially fiction, I want to escape. I totally want to escape. I want to get away from the real world. You nailed it right on the head. This is what he wanted to write, he should have written a political science book and put it in nonfiction. Mm-hmm. That's how he feels about. And again, if that's how he feels, that's fine.
Right. It's okay that he has these. And I wonder too, though, if in conversations with his daughter, and he was like, came across an article where teen suicide has been terrible the past couple of years, and the news is horrible, and so I'm gonna guess that's where he got the idea to write this. But again, there's no hope. There's no solution.
And I understand this is satire, ladies and gentlemen. This is 100% satire. However, I have read better satire on internet memes than I have read on this book. and again,
yeah, I guess my big problem is I read for entertainment. I say that all the time. I do read to learn sometimes, but I usually pick nonfiction to do that. But I don't like to read or watch things that are heavy on current events, because I'm still trying to process that as a person. I'm still trying to process what has all happened in the past couple of years, and how it's affected my family, the people around me. And for me, that's not entertainment. I don't, it's why I can watch 1883 but not Yellowstone, if that makes sense. So I'm older and I know my boundaries and I know what I like. Again, if I want to learn, I'll pick up a nonfiction book.
Right. That is exactly how I feel.
I went into this.
I try to read a multitude of all different, from nonfiction to fiction to young adult. We've talked about this before. I will not turn away any kind of book. And I stated I never wanted to rage quit a book more than I wanted to rage quit this.
So I am a huge DNFer. I do not finish. DNF that book. It does not. I don't even think twice about it. I have 100 books in my bedroom right now that I own that I've never read. I don't care. If I don't like it, I usually give an author 50 pages. I would have quit this one after chapter 1. But I didn't think this would be a very good conversation.
Well, yeah. So, is there anything that you did like about the book?
I liked his writing style. I think he's a very good author.
Yeah,
and that's it.
with us talking back and forth, I knew there wasn't going to be much good that we would have to discuss about this book. And again, he's written other stuff, and like I said, his TV show Fargo was fantastic. So I do like his writing style, the way he writes. I just feel like this was nothing but for shock factor.
And I think our human brains and our hearts and our emotions are not meant to take on every problem in this world. I think it's too much for our little human brains. And I think as much as I love the internet and being able to keep in touch with everybody, I think that the internet is really, like his whole thing about empathy was interesting. It's really made it hard. It has kept every issue in the entire world in front of our face. And social media is forcing us to deal with it. I shouldn't have to comment on every issue in this world. I don't have the brain space or the heart space for that. So, you know, I have one or two causes that are near and dear to my heart, and those are the ones that I tend to focus on. But he took every huge issue this country faces and put it on these teenagers. And I don't think it's fair, Dash. I don't think what he required of his characters was fair. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I felt it just, he put too much on them and then tried to make them almost Mary Sue there at the end. Everybody, and it covers a wide variety of every issue that we've seen in probably the last 8 years at least, from climate control to voting for Supreme Court justices. Okay, I mean, that's nothing that a child should have to even worry about right there at this time in their thing going on. From pedophilia, everything that's been in the news was all on the shoulders of seven teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I get, and I'm right there with you. You are judged now. You are judged on how you respond to anything on social media.
Mm-hmm. Because silence is consent, right? I mean, that's what we're being told. Or silence is not consent. That's not the right word. Agreement. Silence is violence. I think I saw that on a sign in somebody's front yard when I was in Texas this weekend. Silence is violence. No, silence means I'm still trying to process it. You know, silence means I'm still thinking about it. Or silence just means I'm not putting it on social media, but I'm doing something about it in my local community, and it's not your business. So
yeah, we have lots of mutual friends who would probably look at this book and use it as a manifesto.
So I think some people would love it. I really do. I'll just say it. If you are progressive far left, you're probably gonna really understand what the author was trying to do here. Just so everybody knows, I'm a moderate. I'm pretty center right. I was appalled by some of it, but I think that he wrote it for a certain I think people that align with him politically might enjoy it.
And that's literally what this boils down to. If you align with this gentleman politically, this is probably a 5-star, 100% book, and you will probably suggest it to everybody.
Do you have a Goodreads account?
I do.
Yeah, so I got on Goodreads. I don't know. After I read one of our books, I go and I scroll through, and then I really was in there with the 1- and 2-star reviews. But some of the 5-star reviews, I just didn't get it. Don't look it up on Goodreads. I've
looked at Amazon. I looked at reviews on Amazon, and I looked at reviews on Goodreads, and it is pretty much the same on both. You have a lot of 1 and 2 stars on Goodreads. You have a lot of 1 and 2 stars, and then you have a lot of 4 and 5 on both of them.
Yeah.
So I guess, like I said, this would probably be a higher rated for me if it wasn't so preachy in your face. If this was a nonfiction book, I could probably give it a higher
for
rate,
sure.
because the way he writes and the way he tells you about it.
I feel like when I read sometimes, when I read, I take pictures of passages and then I go back and I write it down. And I had one and I forgot where it is. But on 47, he says the future is a problem that can't be solved. And that honestly is when I would have put the book down the first time. And I feel like I wish I had more riveting things to talk to you about this book.
Unfortunately, I think we're kind of right where
I don't know if my friend Dana was on.
I think we're right where we are because of just, and let me break this down for the people watching. Again, when I am reading fiction, I want to escape. I want to go to worlds where there's hope, where you're going to, and I know that's not how life is. I understand that. I understand that not everything can be full of hope, and Samwise is not going to help Frodo get to the mountain. I understand that. I really do. But I want to escape and get away from what I see every day, not only in the news, 99% of social media. You know, I want to get away from that because it's already in our face constantly. That doesn't make me non-empathetic. That doesn't make me non-empathetic, ladies and gentlemen. That makes me want to escape and feel some goodness. And when I read fiction, that's what I want. I know there's going to be doom and gloom, but at some point, Frodo's going to drop that ring in the mountain, and then he's going to sail across the ocean and live happily ever after. That's what I want.
So there is beauty in this world. There is goodness in this world, even with all of the craziness that is happening. And those beautiful and good things are worth fighting for. And did he say that at the end? I don't. That last little thing where they're like, did you catch that about the distribution of the money? Oh dear God. Anyway, he listed things that what the kids say that people can do. You know, and all we have to do is change. I mean, they did see the world was beautiful. The beautiful things were beautiful. The world is good. But it's not worth killing yourself over. It's worth going out and fighting for. I just feel like for young people, don't read this. Don't read this. And even though it's fiction, even the Hunger Games had hope. Katniss had hope, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would love to read a political science book by this gentleman. No problem. Yeah. If he wrote a political science and what's going on in the world today, would love to read it. But as far as the fiction goes, I don't want it in my fiction. And that's why, excuse me, that's why I have to give it a 1 star.
Yeah.
A non-recommend.
Yeah. No. I gave it 2, and only because his writing was good.
Oh, man, I really, Amber, you have no idea how I really wanted to like this book because I was like.
I know. It's because it sounds so interesting. Like this front, the jacket sounds so interesting, like a Wizard of Oz kind of adventure story. I just couldn't. I don't know. I think he made it so depressing because I think that's how he feels.
I definitely think he thinks there's no hope in this world. And that's not true. I mean, there's lots you can do. You can go out and you can make a difference, and we've seen people do that. Mm-hmm. You just can't sit behind a keyboard and hide behind that keyboard and say you're going to do something and then never do it and then continue to complain about it. That's like telling me you're going to, I can't believe this person is president and you didn't even vote.
Yeah. Pick one of these causes that he talked about that you're passionate about and go do something in your local community. Like, I'm a really big advocate for starting where you live. I think that makes more of a difference than starting federally. But he didn't even offer any of that as something to do. Like, oh, well, life sucks. Might as well kill yourself because our parents screwed it all up and we have to deal with it and it's too much and I don't want to deal with it. So A11, let's, text A11 out and we all got to kill ourselves.
The hype, again,
oh my
this
gosh.
book is just totally hyperbole, satire. Again, I don't want politics in my nonfiction, or excuse me, in my fiction. I don't want politics in my fiction. I see enough of that on I see enough of that on Facebook every day, political crap coming at me. I don't want it in my fiction. I don't.
And that's the thing. I think he just needs to tell all these teenagers in this book to just get rid of their smartphones and get off social media, and then life will look a little bit better. I took about a 6-month hiatus from Facebook, and it was fantastic.
Aniston Faith says that's exactly how she felt about House of Sand and Fog. No hope.
Oh my gosh! So that's my husband. He's on Aniston's Facebook because he doesn't have one, and so I made him watch this movie, The House of Sand and Fog. It was depressing the whole time. Don't listen to him. I actually liked it.
I'll have to check that one out. House of Sand and Fog. I will have to check that.
Read the book.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to depress anybody. He's written other stuff that is really good.
I heard
Before the Fall is very good. If you haven't had a chance to read it. Again, he's wonderful. Yeah. He created Fargo for the TV. That is wonderful. If you haven't checked it out, go check out Fargo. And again, I would love to read political science, nonfiction political science by him, because I feel like he has a lot to say.
So this is why I read historical fiction. This is why I read romance, because there's always a happy ending when you read that. Murder mysteries. Yeah. This is why contemporary books are really hit or miss for me. And again, these issues are very important. It's just the way he presented it. It just
Again, I'm not taking away from what he's talking about. And just like you just said, right. I'm not taking away from the issues. What I'm taking away is he's literally trying to say that there is no hope for mankind since 2016, and I disagree with that.
I know. I feel like I read half of it out loud to Eric, and like steam was like coming out of my ears. And I'm like, oh my gosh, listen to what he's saying now. And I'd interrupt whatever TV show he was watching.
Yeah, I think my wife knows more about this book than I actually do, because I'm the same way. I read it and I was like, I don't get this. And again, so that's all I've got to say about that. What's our next book?
It's Serena by Ron Rash. Right? Ron Rash. My friend Dana recommended a Ron Rash book. It wasn't this one, but I thought that we could read Serena. Are you guys going to watch
I think I'm going
to
talk to him this week. We got our show this Thursday, and I will present this as into our list of stuff to watch. But I think that's kind of cool for us to read. Yeah. Excuse me. Excuse me. For us to read the book and then review the movie as well. So.
Yeah, I think every now and then that'll be really fun, and then I would love to hear what you doing both have to say. So shout out to my friend Dana, who recommended author Ron Rash. This is not the book she recommended, but I still want to get to that one. But yeah, Serena, and March 20th is when.
So our next show is March 20th, just like she said. We're reading Serena. I'm excited about this one, just due to the fact that I get to kind of do a 2-for-1 there with the TV show, or excuse me, the movie and the book review on both of them. That'll be really cool.
So I've seen the movie and I loved it. So yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming out tonight. I know it sounded like a lot of doom and gloom on tonight's episode.
Because the book was terrible.
But we don't really mean. I had to read this whole entire thing to give you a full-blown review of what this book is. Again, Noah Hawley, wonderful producer as far as movie or the television show Fargo goes. I highly recommend it. I just don't recommend this book, and I'm sorry. 1 star.
Boo. Okay.
All right, we'll see
Thank
you next
you.
time. Bye.
Bye.